guys, we are back with another song by Eminem. And which one are we doing today?
So today we're doing You Go and Learn, featuring Royce the 5'9" and maybe is it White Gold? I forget. There's somebody else on the hook.
I don't I don't recognize this.
Yes, so it is White Gold. He's the dude on the hook. It is track number 3 off of Music to Be Murdered By, the original, not the B-side, which it gets confusing.
Okay.
It's a separate album, but we'll get to that after this album.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I doubt I've ever played this for you just because the sound of it, I don't know if you would necessarily like or not. I shouldn't even say that because I don't want to put that thought in your head.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's Royce and Eminem, which is always good.
Okay. So it sounds cool.
Yeah. So we'll do what we always do. We'll listen, we'll break it down, all that.
Yes. And we are sponsored by Carnivore Snacks. Carnivore Snacks is one of my favorite meat snacks ever. This is their lamb sliders. All of the sliders are the greatest. If you haven't tried them yet, you really should. And it's only two ingredients. It's lamb, grass-fed lamb, and Redmond real salt. Can't get any simpler than that. And all their flavors are absolutely delicious. You can use our coupon code with Smith for 15% off your order, and the link is in the description below. We are also sponsored by Chomps, which is my other favorite meat snack and my favorite beef jerky. It also is minimal ingredients, minimal calories, only ingredients you can understand and pronounce. My favorite one is the salt and pepper venison. They're all super moist and super delicious. And you can use our coupon code with Smith for 10% off your order and an additional 10% off subscriptions. And the link is in the description below. And we're also sponsored by SeatGeek. SeatGeek is one of the greatest websites to get tickets for comedy, comedians, concerts, sporting events, like literally anything you get a ticket for, they have it. And you can use our coupon code with Smith for $20 off your very first purchase. And the link is in the description below. And also, definitely check out our Amazon storefront. Like and subscribe and follow us on all social media channels if you want to. And that's it.
All right. Here we go. You Go and Learn.
I know this.
You know this?
You play this a lot.
I'm a product of properly hopping up out of that poverty, profiting off of copping and swapping that property out for a possible monopoly. Trying not to adopt my father's old philosophies. Same time I'm praying to God that everything works out at his colonoscopy. I'm walking across a suicidal tightrope intentionally, while the demons coming out of me. Wifey's on the side of me talking sense into me. Without she, I feel incomplete mentally. She's been sent to me right there since 9-6, worst nightmare to a side chick. Some things are just meant to be. This it for me, give my daughters a kiss for me. Y'all call this fame, I call this shit alcoholistic infamy. Targeting my kids and babies through population and gun control. Shit make me wanna make 100 more, make a bigot racist uncomfortable. If y'all against talking reparation, then I'm not against the thought of separation. While the politicians that white and privilege act high is different from segregation, that's funny, bro. Segregation is being told where I'm gonna go. Separation is being woke and going wherever I wanna go.
It's so funny that you said you didn't think I'd like this song because I like it. I mean, I don't love like the whole content of the song, but I like the chorus. I like the beat, and I like the little like baby voice in the background.
Yeah.
Whatever you call that. Like Lil Wayne used to do that voice a lot.
Yes, you must know this from me playing it. Not that, because like sometimes I'll show you songs and be like, hey, listen to this. Other times it's just I'm listening to it so you hear it,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, so White Gold is singing the chorus, and yeah, he says, pray you see tomorrow, little boy, you gonna learn. All them pretty bitches leave your ass in the urn. So this is interesting. It says urn here on Lyric Genius, it says urn, but on some of them it sounds like he's saying earth. So it's not clear to me.
Either way
It,
works.
we get what it means, the content, yeah. Um,
Earn rhymes better.
It does, which is why I think it might be earn.
Yeah.
But leave you in the earth, same thing, leave you for dead. You ain't sold your last rock, you just better earn, but I pray you to see tomorrow, little boy, you gonna learn. So this is interesting. The sentiment is fairly obvious. It sounds like older dudes, talking to younger guys in the game or whatever, you know what I mean, about life. And they pray that you're gonna see tomorrow. You know what I mean? Maybe you won't make it. All the pretty
Because like they are basically saying they have a lot more to learn.
Yes, and the pretty bitches leave your ass in the urn. So like the girls, if you're not hot, you're not on top anymore, they're gonna leave you. Um,
Oh, I didn't think about it like that. I thought like they'll just ruin your life.
yeah, true. That too. That makes sense. And then so you ain't sold your last rock, you just better earn. So it sounds like they're so I'm at this line in particular, it's like, okay, is he saying, okay, you haven't done it, but so you better go out there and sell it, or you better find another way to earn money since you haven't sold your last rock? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know what that means. Are you talking about like crack?
Yeah, that's how, rock typically.
So basically saying like watch out, like you're not like if you're up and like I guess you're an up and coming rapper, it's like be careful because that doesn't mean that you won't ever have to go back to doing that.
Yeah,
I think that's what that means.
yeah, I think you're right too. It's just, yeah, the way the line is, I don't know if they're talking about it like, but I agree with you. It's like, you could quickly be out there doing that shit again. Okay. Then he repeats the same thing. The words aren't any different. So Royce's verse is really interesting. There's some shit I really agree with and some stuff I'm like,
Yeah,
eh. Okay, so he starts off with crazy alliteration. He says, I'm a product of properly hopping up out of that poverty, profiting, all for copping and swapping that property out for a possible monopoly.
nice.
So he's done the P's, right? So
Yeah,
he's a product of getting out of poverty, right? Profiting, making money from his raps, and he's all for copping and swapping that property. So he wants to buy real
flip.
estate,
Yeah,
just flip it, all that. And he says out for a possible monopoly. So he wants it all. He wants to, but the obviously play on Monopoly, the board game, and buying properties. That's what you do in the game.
yeah.
So it's a cool little thing he does there. Then he says, try not to adopt my father's old philosophies. Same time, I'm praying to God that everything works out at his colonoscopy. So I feel like this is such a relatable line to
Mm-hmm.
particularly older children. So meaning like when you're an adult yourself
Yeah,
and you see the flaws in your parents and, their beliefs, their philosophies, the way they act, but you still love them, you hope things work out for them. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like
exactly.
pretty, I think, relatable to most people.
I would say so.
Yes. And then he says, I'm walking across a suicidal tightrope intentionally. So this is interesting. Royce, I don't know if I mentioned this to you. Royce is sober too. He got
Okay.
sober. He's like an alcoholic and he got himself clean. So he's been sober for, I think, like at least like 6 years now. So this is interesting. Like this part and the next few lines, it almost sounds like he's talking from a perspective when he was still drinking, but I don't know necessarily that he is.
Okay.
So either way, he's walking across a suicidal tightrope intentionally. So he's doing walking across a tightrope, but he's doing it intentionally. So
So
it's
he's like
he has
basically
a death
like,
wish.
yeah, like being super risky.
Yeah. Then he says, while the demon's coming out of me, wifey's on the side of me talking sense into me. So So that's interesting. The demon's coming out, wifey talking sense into, so out and in is the
Yeah,
difference.
that's a good one.
So I guess he's acknowledging he has his demons. I don't know if it's the alcoholism, if it whatever
Or
behavior it
just
is.
demons in general.
Yeah, and then so his wife is talking sense into him. Without she, I feel incomplete mentally. She's been sent to me. So, he
Like saying she's an
loves his wife.
angel.
Right there since 9-6. Worst nightmare to side chicks. I like that line. That's very funny. So he's obviously saying they've been together since 1996, and she's the worst nightmare to side chicks because he's not going to have side chicks because he has her.
Exactly.
Then he says some things are just meant to be. So that's a nice positive thought there, right? But then he goes back into this dark thought, which is why I get a little confused by his verse here. Then he says, "This is it for me. Give my daughters a kiss from me. You call this fame. I call this shit alcoholistic infamy. So this throws me off.
I guess what he's saying is like being famous like this, it's hard to be sober and it's hard to live like a sober life, not just because like there's alcohol everywhere, but just it makes it hard to not get wrapped up in like superficial things like money and like just always like trying to get the next best thing.
Yeah, so he's spoken about when he got sober that his alcohol, he used it constantly when writing. It would help him, right? It would, he would think better, but it would also take away the nerves. You know what I mean? So he said like he went through the whole first half of his career without feeling those natural anxieties and fears because he was drowning it all with like alcohol, which is what addicts and alcoholics do.
Exactly.
But it's interesting. So, I mean, he's acknowledging, he's talking about the suicidal tightrope, right? And he's got these demons coming out of him, but his wife is there to support him, right? And he appreciates her, but he's like, this is it for me. Give my daughters a kiss, like as if he's
I'm
gonna be
gonna
die
die.
and almost of the of alcoholism. You know what I mean? So it's a little strange to me. Okay. Then he says, targeting my kids and babies through population and gun control. So I love this line. I 100% agree with him.
Mm. Talking about like population control is like supporting, like pro-choice abortion
Yeah,
and
the culling the population,
yeah.
like they talk about, I mean, there's conspiracies talking about like Bill Gates and like other people, but they think we need to bring down the world's population. They think it's overpopulated. This is usually coming from people living in cities on top of each other, not realizing that, that's not the case at all. But
And then gun control.
yeah, so this is interesting where he ties in. So he obviously, when he says my kids and babies, I think he means his kids, right? But I think he means the black community at large, right? Because he
Yes.
goes into this on the next few lines. What he's 100% correct that early gun control laws were meant to keep black people from having guns.
Hmm.
That's where they originate from. So he's right. And as far as the kids and babies through population control,
That originates from there as well.
yeah, they put a lot of
Believe it or not,
abortion
that
clinics.
was the reason why they were created in
Yeah.
the first place.
It's said, I believe it was, I forget the year, I think it was
It
2015.
was Margaret Sanger.
Yeah, in 2015 in New York City, there was
Well, not
more there was more black babies that were aborted than were born.
that's
And
crazy.
yeah, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't necessarily think that's intentional, but whatever.
But
I
Margaret Sanger was in 2015. It was just whenever
She created
abortion was
Planned Parenthood.
created. Yeah.
That's who you're referring to. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do think so. He sees it as the black people are being targeted, which I don't disagree, but I do think at large,
Well,
everybody's being
now it's
targeted.
just a general idea of population control. It doesn't matter what color you are.
Yeah, and the
And gun control, it
disarming.
doesn't matter what color you are. They just want to keep the population down and they want to get rid of all the guns.
Yeah,
That is what they want.
for sure. So then he says, "Shit make me want to make 100 more, make a bigot racist uncomfortable." That's a funny line.
Because
So
obviously, like a racist person wouldn't want to see him
black babies.
as, oh, I was saying as like a celebrity.
So so wait, how did you interpret that?
Because he goes, shit, make me want to make 100 more,
Yeah,
make a bigot racist uncomfortable. So,
yeah.
like, 100, like, put out more music, like, make sure his face is out there, like, him being famous. Or is he talking about
No.
100
Babies.
babies?
That's what I'm saying.
No.
Babies.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it starts with targeting my kids and babies through population and gun control, makes me want to make 100 more. Meaning, I want him to
Right.
have a
I was
hundred
reading it
more
as a
thought.
separate, yeah. And I was like, oh, is he talking about, like, putting out more songs just so he's like, because racist people don't want to
Wouldn't listen to
see
black
fame.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now he's talking about the babies
Okay.
having, and so he's saying
Because the
because
population,
it's
okay,
being
yeah, I don't know
targeted.
why I missed that.
Yeah. So he wants to make 100 more and make a bigot racist uncomfortable. So, I mean, I would imagine that would make somebody racist uncomfortable.
Probably.
So then he says, if y'all against talk and reparation, is it reparations? Whatever. Then I'm not against the thought of separation. So this is interesting. So he's saying if you're against talk and reparation, then I'm not against the thought of separation. So the talk line throws me off here. I don't know what talk he's referring to.
I
Or
guess
is it
talking about
the talk of
reparations,
reparations? That
like
would make
even just like
sense.
hearing out the argument.
Maybe. So, yeah, so he's saying if you're against it, right? If you're not willing to talk about it and discuss possibly having reparations, then I'm not against separation, meaning, we'll separate,
Yeah, of the
which, yeah, I
races.
mean, I disagree with all
Yeah,
that,
I don't think that's a good
I
idea.
don't think so. I don't think people should be forced to be together. You know what I mean? I think you have a right to associate with whoever you want. But
I just don't
that
think there
being
should be
said,
segregation at all.
exactly. So yeah, the segregation and the reparations, I'm not about either of them.
We've like brought back segregation.
I know it's wild. So this gets confusing to me because he's saying these things that seemingly contradict each other, right? So he's talking about this, then he says, while the politicians that are white and privileged ask how is this different from segregation. So literally, like we were just saying, it's like,
Uh-huh.
oh, how is this different? How is
Well,
separation
yeah.
different than segregation? Well, I mean, there is a difference between separation and segregation. Segregation is obviously by law. You know what I mean? Separation is
By choice.
association. Then he says, that's funny, bro. The segregation is being told where I'm gonna go. It's separation is being woke and going wherever I want to go. So that's actually technically true. Segregation is you told you can't go here, you can only go here. And then separation is saying I'm going to do what I want.
But
So,
like that sort of just ignores what the whole problem is and the fact that you're looking at one whole race as a problem when like that's just not how it is.
yeah, so
Just like you can't look at one whole profession as a problem, you can't look at one whole race as a problem. Everyone's different. People don't agree with people of their own race. Like you can't just like group everyone in together and assume that they all think the same and act the same and want the same
I
things.
know.
So I disagree with this idea.
No, I do too. And then the idea of reparations is that you're going to have people who didn't do anything to anybody paying money to people who weren't enslaved. Do you know what I mean?
But then it also would go to like, well, if they're going to get reparations, what about the Jews? What about the
It's
Armenians?
going
What
to get
about the
bad.
South Africans? And
So to be fair, the blacks in America do have a unique experience. Do you know what I mean? It
yeah,
is unique. Like surprisingly, you know who's for reparations? Ann Coulter,
interesting.
right? She's like the hardest core right winger. Eminem has a few songs dissing the shit out of her. But yeah, she's like, she's like, oh, they do have a unique thing. So whatever. That being said, there's people have thoughts. I don't think it helps
Yeah.
anybody,
I just think it opens the door to just everyone
and it's going to
who's
cause
ever
resentment.
had any sort of repression or anything like that, like genocide or anything at all, any issue like that, everyone would want reparations. And like, that's fine, but I don't know.
I will say, like, for example, like if you could tie like a specific like company, right, that profited, say like a cotton company that's still alive today somehow, right, and like they enslaved people or used slaves.
Yeah,
If you want to find that company that's still in existence, maybe to give to descendants, but even that's
that's
weird.
true. Because also, like, no one in any of my families owned slaves. I know that for a fact.
Well,
And
me too.
I'm literally half Samoan.
Well, that's the thing.
And they definitely didn't own slaves.
Well, that's the thing. Most people didn't own slaves back then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like most white
So then, like,
people,
how are you going to do it? Are you going to identify anyone whose lineage did own slaves, or are you just going to, you know, I don't know, have everyone pay? Even though, like, if that's what they want to do, like, it is what it is, that's fine. But
no, that's not fine. But then you have weird instances where like, interracial people, and then you have people like Kamala Harris who her family owned slaves and she's black. You know what I mean? There's
what do
some
you do
wild, yeah,
there?
there's some wild shit. So I
Yeah,
don't
you
know.
would really need someone to like really look into this to make sure that the people who really deserve it get it, and the people who deserve to pay.
So the problem is the people who deserve to get it are long dead, and the people who deserve to pay are long dead. That's
It
the
is
problem.
true.
So blood guilt, we got rid of that in Western civilization. You don't pay for the son is not supposed to pay for the sins of the father. We don't that we did away with
Well,
them.
yeah, that's
We have
good
a
because
legal
there are
system.
other, back in the day, like if you committed a wrong against someone, they could kill your whole family for what you did,
Well, yeah.
which would suck if you were like a little kid and didn't do anything wrong.
Well, say you have like a deadbeat dad that goes and does something, right? And you have no relationship with him even, right? And then what? You're going to be responsible for something that he did. Like it's insane logic. You can't go down that road. All right, whatever. We're talking so much about this. Anyway,
People are going to be so annoyed. This is a 3-minute song.
I know. 4 minutes, but still. So yeah, I'm obviously against segregation. Ooh, wild thing. Separation, I don't think it's great, but I do believe in freedom of association. So if I believe people should not be forced to be around people they don't necessarily want to be around, you
Yeah,
know?
but I just think that we shouldn't want to not be around
I agree.
entire races. I
I
think
agree.
that's a problem and it just creates another problem. And we're still far away from true like harmony and equality.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I also think things aren't as bad as the media makes everybody seem.
Well, no, because like you go out in public and everyone's
Fine, I
fine.
know. Yeah. All right. Here, we'll just play the rest of this out and then we'll break it down.
Yeah.
Hey, see tomorrow, little boy, you gon' learn. All them pretty bitches leave your ass in the urn. You ain't saw your last rock, you just better earn. But I pray you see tomorrow, little boy, you gon' learn. Pray you see tomorrow, little boy, you gon' learn. All them pretty bitches leave your ass in the urn. You ain't saw your last rock, you just better earn. But I pray you see tomorrow, little
Never sold dope, full of gold rope. Wanted one though, they were so dope. Was a have not, cause my pockets didn't have knots. I was so broke. On my last rock, for my slingshot, better haul ass, there'll be no slow poke. Through the tall grass, run your ass off. Oh no, got your pants caught on the fence post, getting chased. By them jack boys, think it's about the flaws like a lint roll. Let it wait till it's late, they will tiptoe through your living room window. Take a Nintendo and then skate, making you feel like you got bent over and raped. Little boy, you're never gonna get no rope chain. Get your shit stolen, your lips swole. I became bitter as I got a little bit older. My hate was making me get colder. Began to get a chip shoulder, started to spit vogue. On my zip code have been skid row, but I ate every single beat that I spit over the shithole I escaped. Then I began to explode, detonate. Now the east side went schizo. Thought my name was B-side cause they flipped over my tape. And I won't hesitate to get them all bent so out of shape. Shit, whoa, hold up, wait. I just tripped over my cape. And I'm not gonna let her treat the paper like I'm chopping. I'll let her dread tell you I shred. So when you refer to the guy next to the document shredder, now the cops wanna set up roadblocks on my head. I got several bounties from feds in every county. I'm with a gal at a Checkers wilding, bumping fuck the police while I fed her rallies. This shit is like romper room. Why do I feel responsible for these kids? All of whom I'm a father to. I'm a god to you. Y'all better worship the water. I walk on it. Y'all gonna meet your Waterloo. I get the flipping. The mic is a murder weapon. I'm popping an extra clip and couple shoot. Then I'm popping. Do not let me catch you slipping. I will pop up and I'll take a spot from you. I'll get to doing what a leaky faucet do. But I ain't talking drip when I say that I'll get the drop on you. Singing fuck all of you in auto-tune. I am too volatile and too grizzly to bear. Yeah, shit is getting to wear. I can barely even sit in a chair. I bust my ass for this shit and I swear it ain't even worth dissing someone so offbeat that they can't even figure out where their words should hit the kick and the snare.
Hey, see tomorrow, little boy, you gon' learn. All them pretty bitches leave your ass in the urn. You ain't saw your last rock, you just better earn. But I pray you see tomorrow, little boy, you gon' learn. Pray you see tomorrow, little boy, you gon' learn. All them pretty bitches leave your ass in the urn. You ain't saw your last rock, you just better earn. But I pray you see tomorrow, little boy, you gon' learn.
Okay. So, there's some interesting stuff here.
Yeah.
The beginning of the lyrics wrong here. So he says, Eminem comes in, he says, never sold dope for a gold rope.
That makes sense.
Yeah, not from the gold rope. Wanted one though, they were so dope. So he never,
So you're saying he never sold drugs,
yeah, to
which
get
is
jewelry.
interesting. I never really thought about that,
Yeah, you never really hear him talk
but
about
I
that
knew
ever.
that because, yeah, he
Yeah,
didn't talk about it.
yeah. But he did want a gold rope. You know, he just never sold drugs to get it.
Yeah.
Like LL Cool J, I think he talked about he liked. And then he says, was a have not, because my pocket didn't have nots.
So saying like he didn't have like stacks of money in his pockets
Yeah, not.
ever.
So yeah, have not, have nots. And then I was so broke. Um, on my last rock for my slingshot, better haul ass. Don't be no slowpoke. Through the tall grass, run your ass off. Oh no, got your pants caught on the fence post.
I don't understand what he's talking about here.
So he's
Just like
painting a
being a kid.
scenario. So he's a broke kid, right? And he has a rock with a slingshot. So we're getting a kind of an idea of how old he is. You know what I mean? The kid with the
Yeah, like
slingshot.
young.
He says, better haul ass, don't be no slow poke through the tall grass, run your ass off, get your pants. So he's talking about, we'll find out that, he's getting chased, right? And
Hmm.
you can't be slow. So it is interesting. On my last rock, he says, for a slingshot. And the chorus says, you ain't sold your last rock. You just better earn. You know what I mean? So he's kind of taking it a little
Like
differently.
something good in
Yeah, so he's talking about, okay, he's running away and he can't be slow, right? And his pants got caught on the fence post.
So is like that last rock like his last shot at like trying to make something of himself, like be a rapper?
So so on that line it was the last rock on my slingshot.
No,
So
I
he's
know, but like
talking,
what does the rock represent?
I think in that line that he's saying it's literally just a rock
Oh,
from his slingshot. Like he's a
okay.
kid, you know what I mean? And he has that. Um then he says getting chased by them Jack boys. So we find out now why he's hauling ass and
What's a jack boy?
like somebody that jacks you, like robs you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Think it's about to fuzz like a lint roller.
Like the cops.
They wait till it's late. They will tiptoe. So no, he's still talking about the Jack Boy. So I'm actually not familiar. So like you, fuzz is typically the cops. But he says, think it's about to fuzz like a lint roller. So I get the fuzz and lint roller, right? But fuzz, I guess, means get like crazy, like static. You know what I mean? It's about to get wild. You know what I mean? That's the only way I can make sense of that line
I guess so.
because I've never heard the word used in this way. It's
Neither.
about to fuzz because typically you hear fuzz cops.
Exactly.
But either way, he's like, it thinks about to fuzz like a lint roller. So fuzz, lint roller. They wait till it's late. They will tiptoe. So he's talking about the Jack Boys, right?
Yeah.
It's about to get crazy. They wait till it's late. They will tiptoe through your living room window, take your Nintendo, and then skate. So he's
So
talking
like
about,
leave with your stuff.
yes, and he's talking about getting robbed,
Yeah.
so which he's spoken about since he came out, you know what I mean? About having people breaking into his house, stealing from him, all that shit. Then he continues making you feel like you got bent over and raped. Little boy, you're never going to get no rope chain. So he's talking about feeling like he's raped, so being like violated because somebody came in and stole your shit, right? He's like equating it to actual sodomy. Um, you're never gonna get no rope chain, so you're poor, you don't have money, plus shit gets stolen. You're never gonna rap, you're
Yeah.
never gonna be able to get anything, you know what I mean? Then he says, get your shit stole and your lips swole. I became bitter as I got a little bit older, my hate. So again, he's just a poor kid, it's getting jacked, they're beating him up, and he
Yeah.
becomes bitter. And then he says, as I got a little bit older, my hate was making me get cold and I began to get a chipped shoulder, started to spit vulgar. So he grew up.
Like it transformed him and like was kind of like the fuel for his raps.
Exactly. And he would spit vulgar, so curse and stuff. And he says my zip code had been Skid Row. So it's the area in California. It's
Yeah.
really bad,
Yeah.
homeless, like very like bottom of the
Super
barrel poor.
bad.
Yeah. And then he says, but I ate every single beat that I spit over. The shithole I escaped. Then I began to explode, detonate. Now the east side went schizo. So he talks about he got this chip on his shoulder, he got colder, he started rapping, and then he ate every beat that he
Mhm.
spit over. So it's funny, spit and eat, little thing
Oh
there,
yeah,
but
that's a good one.
yeah, so he's killing all the tracks that he's on, and then he escaped from the shithole, from the Skid Row, from where he was. Then yeah, he exploded, so he got very, very popular. Now the East Side went schizo. So I don't know if he was referring to where he's from or if he was referring to himself as the East Side because he talks about that and he's like, East Side, like he represents. So I don't know if he's referring to where he's from when schizo or if he's referring to himself as the East Side. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't
It's a minor difference, but we get what he's saying.
Yeah.
Then he says, thought my name was B-side because they flipped over my tape. I love this fucking line.
Oh, like they flipped, like they got excited over his tape.
And then literally flipped over the B-side, the
Yeah.
A-side with singles. I don't know if you guys are young. There used to be cassette tapes.
Ow, my neck.
They would you okay. They would release just a single, so there'd be one song, and then the opposite side of the single was called the B-side. So literally flipped over the tape.
Yeah.
Then he says, and I won't hesitate to get them all bent out of shape. So he's going after everybody. Oh shit, bro, hold up, wait. I just tripped over my cape. So you actually hear him make a
Yeah, like
trip and falling.
falling.
And then you hear the ad lib Superman, which he's done this many times. So he went from that kid, then he got bitter, he blew up, and then now he's like a superhero. He has a cape.
Yeah.
And he says, and I'm not going to let up. Treat the paper like I'm chopping a letter. So this is a cool little scheme he does there. So he's like, he's not going to stop. Treat the paper. So like when he's writing, right? Like he's chopping a letter. So he's
Okay.
like going crazy on the paper. Dre will tell you how I shred. So when you refer to the guy next to the dock, you meant shredder. So it's a really cool thing he does there. Did you pick up on it?
So like shredding a document, like the guy next to the shredder.
So he
Is the
says,
shredder?
treat the paper like I'm chopping a letter, right? And then document shredder.
Yeah.
But the guy next to the dock, you meant shredder. And then
I
document
missed that.
shredder.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's very quick,
Yeah,
but
I missed that.
you would call like a document shredder. I guess it's its full name, and then he says doc, you meant shredder. So yes, because he's shredding up the paper, he's killing it with his rhymes, all that. Then he says, now the cops want to set up roadblocks on my head. So is it on my head? Or is it in his head? On my head. So I guess they want to stop his thoughts. Do you know what I mean? I guess because he's rapping. Like, do you know what I mean? Like the content he comes up with.
Maybe.
They want to set roadblocks on my head, so they want to prevent him from doing what he's doing.
Okay.
Then he says, I got several bounties from feds in every county. I'm with a gal at a Checkers whiling, bumping fuck the police while I fed her rallies. So he does another cool little thing there. So he's talking about, the cops, they're trying to stop him. There's separate bounties, so people want him, they want him dead, right? And then he does this thing where he's with the girl at Checkers, so that's like a fast food restaurant.
Yeah.
Then he says, listen to fuck the police while I fed her rallies. But the way he says fed her rallies, he says federales,
Federales.
which is that Mexican? I believe.
Spanish.
No, like in Mexico, I believe the police are called the federales.
Yeah.
So I think so. It's a play on that because the police and then fuck the police, federale. Then he says this shit is like Romper Room. It's like an old school like kids show.
Yeah.
Then he says, why do I feel responsible for these kids, all of whom I'm a father to? So he's like, oh, they're my sons. We saw this with Machine Gun Kelly. You can
Yeah.
refer to him as a son. I'm a god to you. You'll better worship the water I walk on, or you're
Oh,
or
it's like a
you.
reference to Walk on Water.
Yeah. So he does. I'm a father too, right? And then he says, I'm a God to you. So, like God the Father, right? And then you better worship the water I walk on. So, like you said, walk on water is the name of his thing. But then obviously it's a reference to
Jesus.
Jesus who would walk on water, which is what a God would do. And he says, or you're going to meet your Waterloo. So that's where Napoleon lost. So it was like a big battle. It was effectively the end of him. So then it's obviously the play on the water I walk on and then Waterloo. So it ties in there. Then you're going to come to your end. Um, then he says, I get to flip in the mic as a murder weapon. I'm popping an extra clip, then I cock and shoot, then I'm popping. Do not let me catch you slipping. So we're familiar with this. He refers to like his rhymes and his rapping as like weaponry, you know what I mean? A lot of gun similes with, the bars and the ammo, all that. So, he treats the mic as if it's like his murder weapon, right? And he's killing people.
Yeah.
Do not let me catch you slipping. I will pop up and I'll take a spot from you. I'll get to doing what a leaky faucet do, but I ain't talking drip when I say that I'll get the drop on you. I love
That's
that.
a good line.
Yeah, I like that one too. So yeah, he said, better not be slipping. He's gonna pop up and take a spot from you. And then doing what a leaky faucet do, which is literally it drips. But then he says, I ain't talking drip when I say I'll get the drop on you. So drip, drop, and then if you get the drop on somebody, you caught them in a vulnerable kind of place.
Uh-huh.
Then he says, singing "fuck all of you" in auto tune, which is really funny.
That is funny.
I am too volatile and too grizzly to bear.
That's a good
Yeah, so there's more to it. Yeah, so shit is getting to where I can barely even sit in a chair. So there's a rapper called T Grizzly
Okay.
who took shots at Eminem, right? So I'm too grizzly to bear. So it's a play on that, right? Shit's to getting where I can barely even sit in a chair. I bust my ass for the shit, and I swear, so he can't sit because he busted his ass in order to rap. So it's a play on that. It ain't even worth dissing someone so offbeat that they can't even figure out where their words should hit the kick and the snare. So this is definitely a shot at that T Grizzly
Yeah.
because he did a play on his name. People think it's also a shot at Nick Cannon. So I don't know for sure. I mean, the T Grizzly one's obvious because he's doing a play on his name. But, Nick Cannon did that thing a few years ago. He did another diss song with a couple of his Wildin' Out people. So anyway, and then yeah, he obviously, and you hear it when he says they can't even figure out where the words should hit the kick and the snare. He actually delivers them on like the wrong ones. Yeah,
That's not.
I think he said, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he says when he says the word kick, the snare is hitting, and then when he says the word snare, the kick is hitting. So like he timed it out, and it actually
That's
sounds
funny.
awkward. Yeah, and then that is it.
Okay.
It's just the chorus again.
So that's really good. I liked it a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think Eminem won, but yeah, it was really good.
I do too. I mean, I was doing a lot of clever stuff there. Royce's
Yeah.
verse is good. I mean, obviously, we don't agree with everything he said, but
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah, it was good. It's a slow song, it's got a very like mellowed like feel to it, you know what I mean?
It's cool though. I like it.
And his vocals, the white gold on the chorus, it's very slow, but it's cool. It's good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, definitely check out Carnivore Snacks, Chomps, SeatGeek, Amazon Storefront. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.